think I would start saying that we are clearly living in very challenging times nowadays, and the COVID experience made this even more complicated. But I think if we can take potentially the only positive takeaways from this whole COVID experience is that it really slapped us and really let us understand what's really the potential benefit from leveraging the technology for living better, working more effectively, and really the potential of some of the technology at the center of this digital transformation. Clearly, the digital transformation carries tremendous challenges, but also tremendous opportunities. And to serve through these challenges and opportunity, we need, first of all, to understand what is all this about. And once we start doing this, we understand that the people are at the center of this transformation much more than in any other previous one that we lived before. This is a completely different one. So it is, of course, it's a transformation, it's a revolution which is driven by technological change, by technological progress, but the person is really at the center. It's the person is the real enabler of such transformation. But the person can also be the real stopper of such transformation. And that's why we need to be very inclusive in the way we consider people within this evolution. So we do all need to take an active role in managing these challenges in this transformation. Of course, companies, but association as a key role, as well as institutions, schools, universities, research center, and most importantly, I think it's very important to say that people individually have a key role within organization, but also as single people. If I take the example of Italy, where we are from, we have one of the highest unemployment rate in young people, but at the same time we have we see companies have extreme difficulties in finding qualified people. So it seems there are two worlds that don't talk to each other. And so closing the gap between school and the young generation and the needs of businesses must be clearly a priority. For example, Federmeccanica in Italy promoted several initiatives in doing like the traineeship project, which is a very ambitious project of dual system, which has been involving like more than 50 technical school and professionals, almost 1,000 companies, 100 like partner companies that has been working in building the project and running the project, and more than 5,000 students. Also with this other story that's alternanza, histories of dual systems, to give visibility to them and the value of the dual system experiences on the territory. So these are just some of the initiatives that Federmeccanica carried on, as well as many other organizations on the territory. So we are all trying really to give visibility, of course, to help building a system which must be fully adaptable of what is actually the progress we are seeing around. At the same time, I think we all need to work to tell a new story with also a new language of the industry we work in, which is yet often linked to stereotypes from the past. We are from the engineering and the mechanic, and still there's really like an idea that this is an old-fashioned industry, dirty, unsafe, uncool, if you want, for young generation. And this is definitely not true, because if you really are able to see what happens within our factories, in our supply chain, we are carrying some of the most extraordinary transformation, extraordinary experiments that are around. And so we are a really cool place to be, because this is really a place where actually the mechanics the electronics and the digital are actually converging, not just in the process, not in just how we do things, but also in the products that we make. And enabling that, carrying into the process, into the product, that enable really new ways of running businesses, doing businesses, business models, adding service to the product, and more to come. So in Italy, we launched a very large initiatives that went under the name of Mechatronics, really to tell the story about the convergence of all these disciplines. And we involved a lot of students, a lot of schools. We went to theater, we went to TED, we talked with the families. We did a lot of things. And it's really, I think, we need to carry this stance of really allowing people to realize that our industry, it's one of the best industry to work for. It's really a first-class industry, the future-looking, one of the most future-looking industry. And I think we need as well making STEM studies being a first choice with our people, with our families, because the families are the one influencing the young generation. So there's a lot of work, and I think the businesses are doing that, organizations are doing that, but this must be done as an overall. And I think it's one of the biggest tasks we need to win, because without the interest and the commitment, the participation of the young generation in our industry, because of the speed of change that we are seeing, that we would go nowhere. So that's, I think it's pretty important that we all need to embrace and agree upon and get aligned and do like an extraordinary work in that direction. Adapting, understanding and adapting these new technology requires a very large effort. And of course, we must realize the large company and the small companies act in very different condition, because the large company have a possibility to scale up, while the small company, most of the time, they don't have the possibility to scale within their organization this sort of technology. But the effort to understand and to learn and to implement this technology is mostly the same. So if I have to learn how to use like a collaborative robots, if I'm a large company or small company, more or less is the same effort. But in a large company, I'm able to scale to 1,000, 2,000 collaborative robots. So that effort is actually amortized on a much larger scale. But if I'm a small company, I'm able maybe to implement 2, 3, 4. And so that effort is implemented at much smaller scales. And that's actually a problem for small companies, that again, to understand, learn and deploy this technology requires a lot of effort, in particular when you go to more complex technology, for example, to be like AI on the factory floor and so forth. So I think it's the importance of the ecosystem is absolutely key. So we need to build an ecosystem where companies, association, institutions, school, research centers, and people, experts, they do participate together to facilitate the deployment, the understanding and the development as well of this sort of technology. And actually these places can also become schools, somehow new form of schools, in particular for people belonging already to the business environment. And so somehow solving and sorting out the upskilling and reskilling, which of course businesses are taking care of, but we must need a much more powerful way of doing so, because the problem is pretty much out there. When we talk about training and skills, the ecosystem and the schools are clearly very important. The closing the gap between school and business is very important as well. But again, we are in the digital world right now, and so we need to realize that education can also and should also be digital somehow. So we need large investment instead of like thousands of small initiatives that don't scale up. We need very large scaling up initiative to generate the tools and the platform to make education and training available for the business, for the people inside the business and outside the business, also again fostering individual responsibilities. So the democratization effect of this technology must be leveraged to really bring in the individual responsibility to get trained within the business, because that's the interest of the business as well, of course, because as we said, people are at the center of this transformation, but as the individual alone on their own. And we also need, talking about ecosystem and set of rules and regulation, I think we need to leave lots of space for experimentation and incentivize experimentation. We saw the benefit, for example, of forced experimentation of smart working during the COVID-19 time, and how people and companies react swiftly, and all are now evaluating how to best carry this forward, because we were forced to react without much rules. There was no time to set the rules for that. So we actually moved and adapt very quickly. And that was, I think, a tremendous experiment of how this is beneficial. And of course, once you experiment, you adapt, you need to set the rules to govern this process. And I think now all of us, or most of us, are actually questioning ourselves for what should be the right rules to govern smart working within the business. So we all understood the benefit, but we also understood the limits. And I think it's now drafting the set of rules for the benefit of the people, of the companies, of the work, of the job, and the welfare and everything. I think that's pretty key, pretty important right now. One more thing about skill and the new model of organization. I think it's again, COVID and smart working, they open up a completely new scenario, and this will take some time before we really understand again how to reorganize and rethink our organization for this new normal. So this is carrying on from what I was mentioning before. I think it's a great challenge, but again, a great opportunity for us all. And once again, I think this will let qualified people emerge even more, and therefore create a need for qualification even stronger than before. Because before, probably people were able to hire only in their geographical perimeters. Now the geographical perimeter for most of us will stop being a constraint, and that will raise a lot of global competition. And the competition for skills, for talent, will be the key competition Europe must be aware and must play. So I think that if the one priority, that should be for sure the priority for our people, for our Europe, and reminding always that a competitive industry is the base of a healthy, social, and inclusive Europe. I would like to close about a comment on European social dialogue importance and the role of Europe. As I mentioned before, we need to start from a common understanding that a competitive industry is the basis to support and foster a social Europe, and a competitive industry is built also based on having educated workforce and educated people to facilitate the adoption and the leverage of these set of new technologies and challenges. But the challenge of the digital transformation, together with all the other challenges that we are facing, require a collective intelligence that require clearly a collective effort. Most of the challenges are really too big to be faced by single companies, single ecosystems, single territories, but even single countries. We need to tackle these as European. We need to scale initiatives. We cannot cope to have too many and disorganized and not initiatives. It is too much of a waste of resource and time, which we don't have. So we need to really set priorities right, and on those priorities, we really need to make big bets at Europeans, because we can only win and play if we work together collectively as Europeans. Thank you.